Hey everyone, and welcome to today's lineup. We've got some heavy cases today, so please prepare yourselves. Scotland's worst serial killer has died in prison. Angus Sinclair, aged 73, died on Monday morning. It is reported that he had suffered a series of strokes. Sinclair was convicted of 4 killings, including the 1977 World's End murder. He was also suspected of killing 4 other women during that time. Sinclair was 16 when he first killed Catherine Rehill, a 7-year-old neighbour, in 1961. He was actually released whilst in his early 20s after only having served 6 years. This move would be regretted as he went on to kill many more. Horrifically, in 1977, 6 women were reported missing, then found dumped. The hunt for this killer was the largest manhunt in Scottish history, but he wasn't caught for decades. He was convicted of killing Catherine Rehill, 7, Christine Eadie, 17, Helen Scott, 17, and Mary Gallagher, 17. He is suspected to have also killed Frances Barker, 37, Hilda McCauley, 36, Agnes Coody, 23, and Anna Kenny, 20. Sinclair was 69 when he was convicted to 37 years for all these murders. I hope with the news of his death, the victims' loved ones can have some sense of closure. A Perth man is on trial for murdering his 6-month-old baby daughter, Isabella. On November 7, 2017, Aaron Martin walked into a police station and made some shocking comments claiming he had hurt his daughter. The 37-year-old says that he had arrived home after an 8-hour shift at work, and his wife, Nicole Martin, immediately left for her job. Martin had tried putting Isabella to bed at about 4 p.m. so he could go to sleep, but, quote, she just wouldn't stop crying. She was a bit whingy because she was teething. The crying got louder and louder and louder, he said. I got up 3 or 4 times to put the dummy in her mouth, but it didn't work. That's when I picked her up and just shook her. She wouldn't stop, so all of a sudden I just threw her on the floor. One of the detectives asked Mr. Martin how tall he was. His response was, 6 foot, it's a long way down. During the interview, through tears, he describes what happened after he threw her. He says, he picked up the child and noticed that her eyes were slightly open and she had a slightly husky breath coming through. I just put her back in the cot hoping she would wake up, he said. I stayed in the room just patting her. Martin's defense lawyer, John Rando, called this murder a snap due to his work hours and exhaustion. Rando described Martin as a family man who loved his life, his wife, and loved and adored his daughter. He goes on to say, he was doing the best he could, but something happened that day. He just snapped, Mr. Rando told the court. He shook the child and she ended up on the floor and died. He was shocked. He was so traumatized he tried to kill himself. Nicole Martin, mother of the child and wife to Aaron Martin, gave evidence in court. She recalled that her husband had texted her during the day about when she was getting off work, and at no stage during the conversations did he mention anything that was wrong. She found out what happened to her daughter when she arrived home from work that evening with police and ambulance officers at her home. Can you imagine that? The understanding is that the couple had no family nearby and didn't pay for childcare as they were trying to save money. Whilst one was at work, the other looked after the baby. The hardest thing to hear is that it's stated that Isabella may have survived 2 to 5 hours after the incident took place, and Martin did nothing to assist that child at that time. Isabella died after suffering catastrophic brain injuries. Martin was apparently so traumatized by what he did, he attempted to take his life twice before turning himself into the police. Martin is currently on trial and is expected to run for a week. He is pleading not guilty due to sleep deprivation. He would prefer manslaughter. What do you guys think? Should he be charged with manslaughter or murder? Leave it in the comments below. The man who kidnapped, raped and imprisoned a European backpacker in a pig shed in South Australia has been found guilty. Jean Charles Bristow, aged 54, was found guilty on aggravated kidnapping, rape and indecent assault. The woman, who was victimised by what I don't think you could call a man, had to sit in the same courtroom as her attacker. The woman told the courts that she felt powerless and like a slave during the 2-day ordeal that occurred in February 2017. Bristow lived on the farm with his wife of 25 years and their adult son and son's partner. They were unaware that in the lead-up, Bristow had searched for handcuffs, shackles and tasers online before this crime. Bristow had placed an ad on Gumtree, that's like Craigslist for you Americans, looking for a female farmhand. He stated he wanted a female as they were gentler with the younger cattle. Bristow picked up the woman from the Murray Bridge Visitor Information Centre and took her to the farm, to an old pig shed away from the family home. He tied her hands with cable ties and shackled her feet before sexually assaulting her several times. Bristow had taken her phone, but her laptop was still with the rest of her luggage in the shed, so she sent out distress messages to police and family and friends. She was too scared to escape that night, so she waited to see if anyone would come for her. Police actually started to search the area the next day, so Bristow took the woman back to the Murray Bridge, where he helped her check into a motel and then fled. In her victim impact statement, she said, "What happened to me was really horrible, terrifying and deadly. I thought about how much my family would suffer if I died here, and that hurt so much. I tried not to think about them because it was just too painful, but it was because of them that my instincts to survive kicked in. I was locked in chains, held against my will, and had to endure things that nobody should have to endure. He took everything from me. Not only did he take my clothes and my belongings, but he also took my freedom, my mind, my family, my friends. I felt so powerless," the backpacker said. "He told me not to trust anyone else, not even the police, and I believed him. I felt stupid that I let him manipulate me in that way, that I was naive and that I didn't know any better." The woman, now 26, states that when she returned home, she was a different person. She became very scared and anxious and suffered flashbacks during her sleep. The woman told the court that she would never forgive him for what he did. The happy and confident person she once was has now been replaced with being scared to leave her house alone. The court will hear submissions on Bristow's sentence on March 28th. He is facing a maximum sentence of life in prison. Personally, I hope he rots there. And finally, a hunter in the US who slaughtered hundreds of deer has been sentenced to watching Bambi once a month whilst completing his 1-year jail sentence. David Berry Jr. is accused of running an illegal poaching operation that involved his dad and brothers, where they'd kill countless deer, taxidermy their heads, and leave their bodies to rot. Prosecuting attorney Don Trotter said that in the last 3 months of 2015 alone, the Berry family killed 100 deer. I say, watching Bambi only once a month? That's not enough. And that's it for today's lineup. There won't be a show tomorrow as I'll be doing the Chronic Illness Live Chit Chat at 11 AM Sydney time. I believe that's 4 PM Tuesday California time, don't quote me on it. I'll leave the link below. Click set reminder and it'll tell you the time when it begins. I'd really love to see you there and I'd love for you to call in. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye for now.